Welcome back to another episode of Pipe Surgery. We have a question this week from G, from a legal tech company. A question actually from one of our clients that came up this week in the course of our regular advisory sessions. So Simon, get ready for this one. I know we sort of rehearsed it to some extent by giving the advice already, but we wanted to share these powerful nuggets with everybody else. So when a prospect is really keen to sign with you, but they are struggling to articulate the ROI, the return on investment, to get it signed off, what do we suggest as a method to get this deal over the line?
Yeah, so I'm going to give the same advice that I gave earlier in the week. So it's really about collaborating with the prospect, which you should be doing anyway to some extent, and hopefully the ROI sums and calculations comes up a little bit earlier in the process. But assuming it hasn't, they like the product and what it can do, but they need to get it rubber stamped on their side. What I would advise is putting it into real figures. So that would be almost getting a calculator out, working out together. This particular product had a lot of time-saving element to it, so it was an automated process that saved doing a manual process. So what I would recommend, and what I did recommend, was to put it into real figures. So how many hours of time would it save? What's the cost per hour per employee? And put that into hours. And let's say, for example, the product cost $10,000 a year and the annual saving was $50,000, then is a five-fold return on their investment worth doing? So that was number one. And number two is bring in some third-party recommendations from peer groups within their industry. So it doesn't have to be a specific figure then, but if one of the use cases would be this saved us 100 hours of timing, or this saved us considerable project time and didn't tie up resources from our side.
That last one I particularly agree with, working with another company in the energy tech sector, and they have a product, it's both hardware and software, and actually they have been able to show time and time again that by installing their solution, they can save downtime on factory plants or other solutions across, say, an education campus in terms of energy costs, and actually they can show that as real case studies. So if you can build real outcome-driven marketing, especially if you've got a product that is and lends itself to really showing an ROI, then there's nothing better than obviously getting other people to sing your praises. I think the other two things I would say is try and spot this earlier on. Don't leave this to the last minute of the deal. Everyone's happy, everyone's excited. Yes, we want to move ahead. And then this big issue of ROI comes up that isn't necessarily a sort of slam dunk. And you need to address this earlier on, spot whether this is a data-driven person who needs this information early. Maybe there's other people in the decision-making process that you haven't identified, and make sure that you address this at those earlier stages so that you're gliding towards closing the deal rather than having this big nugget come up at the last minute. And I'll come back to the same thing I say almost every week: create irrational bias for your product. That regardless of all of these other things, you've built so much brand and excitement and other types of marketing that makes everyone feel, I need to have that. So this irrational bias, as I call it, see if that will help grease the wheels to push this over the line.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that is another Pipe Surgery being wrapped up. We'll be back with more of your wonderful questions next time.